Okay, so I'm gonna be doing things a little bit differently today. I'm gonna try out a new camera situation. But basically today I'm gonna be reviewing the Echo Extra Large. This was given to me by Oxalum for my review. And let me just bring it up now. So can kind of see the wiggle of it, which many people have reviewed and pointed out. This is kind of like a very popular prosthetic, and I was always a bit of a Gendercat stan, so I kind of never got any of like Oxalum's newer stuff. The last thing I bought from them was the Thinker Stantipy. So yeah, so this is it. And I really like the look of it and the feel of it. Like, the balls are very, very nice. And I've had this for a couple months, so I've really been using it like every day and just really like squeezing the shit out of the balls, because something with like the movable balls is I've always felt like, is it gonna really like last? So I really tried to vigorously test it just by using it every day and really just like squishing it around and all that. And basically the feel is so awesome, and the balls are really awesome, and like it's like my new like fidget toy that I have basically at home, at least. So yeah, I really enjoy it, and it feels good and it looks good too. And like, as you can see, paint hasn't come off because it's integrated into the silicone itself. So really, like, what you see is kind of what you get. And I do appreciate that. I would rather have this kind of like less realistic option than like the full-on paint, but that it's more durable. So yeah, I also think like, because like, even though it has like a lesser realism than some other prosthetic, the feel just really is so much more important, because yeah, you're looking at it sometimes and like, I think it does pretty well. Like, I think it's a nice to look at, but like most of the time, like, it's gonna be in your pants and you feel it more. And that's kind of what I always appreciated about Gendercat. Like, yeah, they have a lot of different color options, but their realism isn't super there. But it didn't really matter to me because of how good the packer felt to pack with. So this has kind of like one-upped, I think, Gendercat, and I'll show their gummy later, which isn't like a super fair comparison in terms of like the coloring. However, it's a similar price. So I think that it's a fair comparison in that kind of realm in terms of like budget packers. Before this year, really, I never had the movable balls. Like, I had like the kind of 3D balls, which just means that like they go all the way around. It's not a flat back. But I never had the movable testicles, and it's really just like game changer. It feels very good. Like I said, like, I can't stop playing with it. I think it does add kind of to the heftiness of the bulge in a certain sense, like, because you like have testes in there. So a lot of people have reviewed the Echo and the Echo Extra Large, and like their Argos, and like their kind of like newer line of prosthetics that are really like squishy, and like they're not necessarily having like movable skin, but it isn't a single pore. So there's like this layer, and then there's like the internal kind of like more liquidy silicone situation. So yeah, and then of course the testes. So a lot of people have reviewed this. It's nothing new. But what I kind of wanted to test out over the last couple months was the durability of it, because in the past, a lot of people were saying that it's prone to tearing and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to, at this point in time, like see how the durability and everything is. And so I really used it every day, and I wasn't like soft with it. Like I really got in there, and I really like really squished it around. And so these are basically my notes on that, or like what I've noticed. So I think that in terms of the durability, I think it's better than what other people have experienced in the past. There's no tearing necessarily. However, there are some, like, you can see the texture of it is like, it's kind of not shedding, but just kind of like, you know, just a little bit like it wasn't there before. It's kind of like not even peeling, but just there's that little something there that you can kind of see, like, and like I wash it and it doesn't go away. So it is something that has changed. And then I would say the other biggest thing that I noticed is just this. That is more of a tear. I would call it like a micro tear, really, because it doesn't affect the like function or the integrity of like, do I think it's gonna like slit open and like gush out, different materials? No, but it does kind of affect the aesthetics, and it does make me wonder, like, how long will it kind of last without, like, will the whole packer end up having these kind of like micro tears? And it kind of does question a little bit of like the body safeness of it. Obviously, this is a soft packer. You're not going to be using it for sex. So that's like a little bit less of a concern. And like back here, well, it's a little dusty. I did wash it, but I have cats, so some things end up sticking to it. But yeah, so it's not going to affect really what you're touching. Like, at least so far, I haven't noticed any kind of like micro tears, or like, maybe we should just call them like stretch marks, or I don't know. But so this is like still definitely body safe, I think, for like what it's for. But like, if you're someone that like really is bothered by this kind of aesthetically, I mean, if you are someone who's bothered by this kind of thing aesthetically, I feel like maybe this isn't the packer for you at all, in terms of just like it is a more budget packer. So I would say it has kind of like a budget realism to it. Like, it feels great, but in terms of like looking at it, like it's not as realistic as some of the other packers out there. But it is only like $60, so I think what you're getting for the price is really good. And that's kind of like where I want to end the review, is just like how much value is in this. A couple years ago, if you told me like I could get movable balls, like I have some sort of dual tone, and have, like the tab and this amount of squish in, a budget packer, in a packer under $100, I would say, why are you lying to me? Just a few years ago, this was not a thing at all. Oxalum was still a budget company a few years ago, but they weren't making this level of prosthetic. So it really is like a game changer. And, you know, like people used to recommend like the Limpy for like your first packer, but I think at this point, like especially because the Limpy is not silicone and it is TPE, which is not body safe and is porous and absorbent, this is just gonna be a much better option. And, you know, depending on which one you get, it does range in price. And like, even in terms of just like, if you can't afford the whole $60, there are like other more budget options that maybe they don't have the movable testes, or maybe it's not like super dual texture in this way, but it is still going to be body safe. And I think it's definitely worth checking out to opposed to like the Mr. Limpy. So I think we've definitely come beyond the Mr. Limpy at this point, and like I wouldn't even recommend that to anyone. Like it's basically like unsafe to use, and you know, like it was never made for us. It was kind of a gimmick, little like bachelorette sort of, you know, party favor sort of vibe. You know, like this is made for us. It has the tab, it has different options, it has like different coloring. It has like a level of realism that I, like a few years ago, like I said, I really wouldn't have expected at this price. And, you know, I think the biggest thing to knock of it really is the durability. But that being said, the durability has gotten a lot better in recent years. So it's just something to kind of weigh your options. If this is like your price point, like $60, then I would say you cannot do better than Oxalum. If you can spend a little bit more, maybe there's some other options out there for you. Or, you know, maybe you can even upgrade the Oxalum one a bit more. But just in terms of like like how this is a very good, like well put together, well constructed packer that, you know, some other like more so hand made prosthetics, they don't have, I don't want to name names, like honestly, but they because like, you know, they're trans owned small businesses, but they don't have this level of like finished kind of product design. They have a lot of other things that are going for them, obviously, but they don't have this kind of like, this is a very well made packer. And, you know, it does have some durability issues with it in terms of just like the surface level, but it has improved. Oxalum is a company that continuously like innovates and improves what they offer. And like just in a, like, you know, a couple years, they really have done a lot. So I'm excited to kind of see what they do next. And I would definitely recommend this packer. They have, you know, this is the extra large. They have the original Echo. They have the Argos. Now they have the Natto, which I would love to see. I guess one thing to point out about the Echo in this line is that it is not a life cast. But sometimes, you know, like the life cast penises, they, you know, they're little, they have some weirdness to them. Maybe they're not like made to be a packer, so they kind of sit weird. They kind of, you know, they're not. This one is made to be a packer, so it sits very nicely. Like the shaft goes nicely in between the balls. So it really just depends on like what your comfortability is. I really, really enjoy like the longer shaft of it. So I like, and like because it, even though it's like a nice like kind of heftier packer, how it smushes down just makes it much more of like, it's not a crazy bulge. But I also just wanted to super quickly compare it to Gendercat's Gummy, because in the past I recommended the Gummy over this Oxlum Echo because I felt that their durability was better. So I'm just gonna show it here. So the thing about the Gummy from Gendercat is that it's $45. So it is a life cast model, which, like I said, you know, it makes it so the construction of it is a little, not weird, but just not like made to be a packer. So it does sit well, but the lack of a tab can make it so that it packs, like it kind of falls forward. So that's not great. Like it kind of has like this top, like the way that they make it, like you could see here, this has the tab. Even though the balls are similarly constructed in terms of their hanging down, like they are like pretty similar packers, especially if you get like the regular Echo, because just in terms of size. But the tab just makes the Echo a lot easier to pack, whereas this one, it's kind of like you're just putting it in your underwear, and so however it wants to fall, it will fall. So yeah. And then the other thing about Gendercat is that they tend to like wrinkle, like here. They tend to wrinkle when they go up, whereas this Echo, you can see it's really not wrinkling to the extent of the Gendercat. So the other thing to think about is, you know, the Gummy comes in like 3 different colors, and, you know, as you can see, this is like hardly a color at all. It's just super light. But like I said, it feels good. It's in your pants. Like, you're not really worried about that. But it also doesn't have the movable testicles. So I would say, you know, the Echo has the better deal here over with the tab, with the movable testicles. And, you know, my big thing about Gendercat was that, you know, it's more durable. Like, it's an older company. They're doing this for a long time. And, you know, when I got this, I was like, this is like, because I've had a lot of different prosthetics from them. And I was like, this is insane. This is exactly the same build quality of their more expensive prosthetics. So I thought this was a really good deal. However, over the past, I guess, year or so, oh, and you can see right now, it just tore. Because I'm trying to take this little dirtiness off. So yeah, that just happened, I think. But yeah, so I thought it was like the same exact quality. I don't know if Gendercat's quality has just gone down and it is still the same quality as their more expensive options. But, and this is a much older than the Echo, keep in mind. Like, I've had it for a longer time. But, you know, my whole thing was like, get the Gummy. It is more durable. But I'm not sure at this point, like, if I could still say that. Like, it has this tear here, which, like, because it's just the one color, and like I really only use it to swim with, I don't really mind as much. I just wanted like a smaller packer to be able to like have in my swim trunks without worrying about it. But yeah, you could see like there's a lot of tears here, and I would say these aren't micro tears. These are tears, you know? So that's something to think about. Like, I don't know that this is a better like build quality anymore. Like, I don't know if I would still consider that to be the case. So that's just something to kind of think about. You know, they definitely have like a different consistency to them as well. So definitely a smaller bulge, because it doesn't have, it just kind of falls into itself. It's very like, you know, and then this one, you could see it goes back a lot quicker. But this one, it's like kind of heavy, or like at least like more dense, I suppose, and like it doesn't have the same kind of like movement as the Echo. Like the Echo just kind of wants to move, and this one, it kind of doesn't want to move, if that makes sense. So they definitely have their pros and cons, but at this point I think the Echo is the better buy. You know, $60, I think some of them are less even, and you know, this is 45, but you get a lot more color options, a lot more realism with the Echo line. So yeah, I think at this point the Echo has surpassed the Gendercat Gummy. However, I think I would still want to pack with the Gendercat Gummy for like the pool and stuff, just because it doesn't have the testicles and it just kind of smushes down into like a lot of a smaller, like it's a lot, you can see how it fits in my hand, just a lot smaller as well. So yeah, just wanted to do a quick comparison on them. I hope you enjoyed this video and it kind of added something to what you have already known about the Echo, because I know a lot of people have done reviews on it. But yeah, I just thought I would give my own review over the past couple months and kind of compare it to what I think is a good comparison, just in terms of like price and feel. So yeah, that's my review. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please remember to like and subscribe if you did in fact like the video. And I hope to see you in the next one.